Alright guys, I was having some technical difficulties. The video recorded a little bit ahead of where I wanted it to, so it didn't record me making the choice that I made, basically, so I chose to go home. So we're gonna pick up after that. Now then. Oh. I don't have anything to do, so I hurry up and leave the school. Come to think of it, I hadn't left the school by the main entrance since the entrance ceremony. I guess this will be the way home to and from school from now on, since I live in this mansion. And yeah, if you noticed, we are meeting Yumizuka outside of the school. That's where the, at least where the image is coming from, if you're curious. So that's where I skipped ahead to. Leaving from the main gate, I come to the intersection that leads to the residential district. This is the point at which the paths to the city and the residential district where the mansion is part. Oh, it's Tono-kun. Suddenly, I run into Yumizuka. Hello Yumizuka-san. It may have been because of CL-senpai's teasing, but I feel a little embarrassed. Yumizuka-san looks at me, bewildered. Yumizuka-san, is there something on my face? I was wondering what you were doing here, Tono-kun. Isn't your house in the other direction? Well, it was until yesterday, but I'm living somewhere else starting today. From now on, I'll be living at the place on top of the hill at the end of the residential district. Ah, so that's what you were talking about this morning. Yumizuka claps her fist and an open palm together in understanding. Well, all flattery aside, that gesture seems incredibly cute. That's right. And now we're getting back to where I left off at. I guess there's no point in hiding it from you, since you already know. I'm leaving my guardians, the Arimas, and going back to my real house today. Your real house? You mean the Tono-san mansion? Yeah. I don't think it really suits me either. I see. You really are a prince on top of a hill after all. It was a secret only Inoue-kun and I knew. But now I guess everyone's going to find out. With a faint smile, Yumizuka casts her gaze into the distance. She looks out at the horizon, as if looking at the Tono mansion off in the distance on top of the hill. But will you be alright? Even if it is your house, you've been away for 8 years, right? Aren't you afraid or worried? Yeah, I'm actually kind of uneasy. I never liked that mansion to begin with, and now it's going to feel like someone else's house too. But still, I can't lead a carefree life on my own and leave my sister Akiha there all by herself. No matter how uneasy I am, I have to return to the mansion. In the end, it's still my home. I think it's only natural for me to go back. I see. Sorry for stopping you, Tono-kun. You must be in a hurry, right? No, not really. I was just having a stroll on the way home. I see. For some reason, Yumizuka looks downcast and falls silent. What's wrong, Yumizuka-san? Are you feeling sick? I break the silence, but she continues to stare downwards without raising her head. Ellipses. I can't just leave her there, so I continue to stand there, looking at her. And then... Yeah, what is it? I'm going along the same way as you. Until we reach the hill. Really? Then let's go together part of the way. Yumizuka's eyes widen as she stands there stiffly for a moment. Yeah, you're right. We're going back the same way, so it wouldn't be strange for us to go together for part of the way, right? She says this all with an excessively cheerful voice and stands right beside me. Just at the right time, too. Oh, just at the right time too. I'm not too familiar with the streets around here, so would you mind guiding me? Sure. Well then, let's go down the street. It's a back street that leads all the way to the street on the hill. I walk home while chatting with Yumizuka. Talking to Yumizuka isn't anything particularly special, but it is enjoyable in a peaceful kind of way. Despite what Orihiko had said, Yumizuka Satsuki has a gentle air about her, and I feel safe being around her. Ho ho! While we were talking, Yumizuka suddenly laughs as if she had remembered something. What is it all of a sudden? Did I say something funny?
No, that's not it. It's just that starting tomorrow, I'll be taking the same route to school as you.
She laughs, looking truly happy. That honest, smiling face is enough to make me happy as I watch her. I didn't realize it up until now. Even putting her looks and mannerisms aside, Yumizuka Satsuki is kinda cute. I'm slowly beginning to understand why the boys in our class had been so worked up over her for so long now. Our conversation ceases. I'm simply fascinated by Yumizuka's smile, and the two of us fall silent. Without saying anything, we walk towards the residential district in the sunset. Suddenly... Hey, do you remember what happened during the winter vacation of our second year of middle school? Yumizuka murmurs. What? I tilt my head to one side. The winter vacation of the second year of middle school is when I had applied to stay for extra lessons at school because I felt bad about staying at the Armas. I remember it well enough, but I still don't understand why she asked me about it. Just as I thought. Someone like Tono-kun would never have remembered. Disappointed, Yumizuka's shoulders drop. There were 2 sports sheds at our middle school, remember? One was a new shed, used by the big clubs, and the other was an old shed, used by the smaller clubs like badminton. The old shed had a certain problem where the alignment of the door was bad, so there were often times where it wouldn't open. Old shed. That little concrete building at the back of the gymnasium? Ah, that shed. The one which they stopped using after some students got trapped inside.
Yeah, that's the one. The students were second years from the badminton club.
Ah. Yeah, something like that did happen. Oh. Depressing music. It was early in the new year, on a cold winter's day. The first 3 days of the new year having passed, I had applied for extra lessons and requested to stay behind at school to help out because I felt bad about staying at the Armas. But even that was only until 5 in the evening. It had become dark, and I was forced out of the classrooms as all the teachers were going home. The middle of winter. Even if it was only 5, the surroundings really had darkened. The weather report had predicted snow for that day, and the cold was extra harsh. And so, just when I had decided to head straight home for the day, I had heard a banging sound from the old shed and went to check things out. Is anyone in there? I asked, and I heard the voices of several female students in reply from inside the shed. They had been trapped in there for 2 hours. While packing up the club equipment, they had closed the door because of the cold, and now it wouldn't open again. They couldn't open the door no matter what, and wanted me to call one of the teachers for help. But the teachers had all gone home. Even if I were to call them now on the phone, it'd at least taken another hour. The cold that day was truly terrible. And the kind of cold that should have prompted snow, I thought it would be cruel to leave the girls stuck in the shed wearing only their PE uniforms for another hour. After some hesitation, and confirming that no one else was around, I took off my glasses and cut the line on the shed door. The door opened, and about 5 female students, eyes red from crying, poured out. Come to think of it, there was something like that. But I'm surprised you know about it. The captain of the trap badminton club told me, this has to do with the club's survival, so don't tell anyone else. It was almost like she was threatening me.
Oh, Tono-kun. You had no interest in knowing who was trapped inside there, did you? Listen, I was one of those badminton club members.
Yumizuka sounds like she's pouting. So in other words...
I still remember it well. When I think about it now, it was only being trapped inside a shed, but at the time, it was cold and dark, and I was really worried. Everyone thought we were going to freeze to death like that. My stomach was growling from hunger too. I was just about to collapse.
That must have been rough. I can't really empathize with her, so I give a half-hearted response. Unconcerned, Yumizuka continues her recollections, bringing up old events anew.
And just when everyone was trembling, you came along and asked, "Is anyone in there?" In your usual, unexcited voice, And then the captain got angry and shouted, "Can't you tell just by looking?" Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember. There was a loud bang when she threw a bat at the door. I was really surprised.
That's right, Yumizuka says, laughing. But when we heard all the teachers had gone home, we really lost all hope. We couldn't stand being there for even a minute longer, yet we had to face the prospect of being trapped until the next day. Just when we were thinking about how miserable the world was, you knocked on the door and said, "I might be able to open the door, if you can keep it a secret."
Yeah. And then I heard another bang, and someone said, "If it opened that easily, we wouldn't be suffering in here." She was really angry.
Yeah, the captain felt responsible for getting us trapped, so she didn't have much patience to spare. But soon after that, the door opened. Everyone was happy, and the captain's knocking with the bat must have worked and ran outside. But I was watching you aimlessly stand by the door.
Yumizuka looks at me warmly. But that only troubles me. To me, it meant nothing, so I can't really appreciate her gratitude.
I was crying really hard at that time. My eyes just felt like they were swelling up, and they looked terrible. What do you think you said when you saw me like that?
I don't know. What did I say? I really don't remember, so I ask as if it was something someone else had done. Despite this, Yumizuka still looks at me happily.
You put your hand on my head and said, "Hurry up and go home and eat some ozoni." I was a little embarrassed because I was trembling so much from the cold.
Ellipses. I knit my brows. I don't know what I meant back then.
I think you meant for me to warm up my body by having some ozoni.
I see. It was right after New Year's, after all. That does sound like the stupid kind of thing I would say. Now that it's put to me like this, I regret not having picked something better to say.
Back then, I thought there were plenty of terrible people at school.
Terrible people?
Back then, I thought there were plenty of reliable people at school. But if I ever really needed to be saved, it will be someone like Tono-kun who saves me.
That's sweet. You're exaggerating. Look, it's like how a baby chick thinks the first human it meets is its mother. I just happened to help you. This guy's totally modest about everything.
That's not true. Ever since then, I really believed that you'd come and help me no matter what the problem was.
Her expression is quite resolute. You're giving me too much credit, Yumizuka-san. I'm not that reliable of a person.
It's alright. This is what I believe, so let me keep believing it.
She pronounced this while staring straight at me, and I am too embarrassed to offer a rebuttal. Well, I guess you can believe what you want.
Isn't that right? If I'm ever in a pinch, you'll come and help me, right?
Yumizuka asks, smiling. To be honest, that would be kind of troubling. Despite what she thinks, I'm not the sort of guy who can do everything. I'm not, but when she faces me with that smile, I don't want to destroy the faith she has in me. Yeah. If it's within my power, I'll help you.
Yep. Thank you, Tono-kun. I know it's a bit late to say this, but I was really happy because of what you said to me back then.
Saying that, Yumizuka suddenly stops. Naturally, I stop too.
I've always wanted to talk to you like this, Tono-kun.
Somewhere in her voice was a hint of wistfulness. Perhaps it's because of the red light from the sunset, but somehow, Yumizuka looks lonely. What do you mean? You can talk to me anytime.
No, I can't. Inoue-kun is always around you, and besides, I can't become someone like you, Tono-kun.
With that reserved answer, Yumizuka draws away from me.
Well, my house is this way, so I'll see you at school tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Smiling, Yumizuka waves her hand and begins walking down another street. Well, I'm not going to spoil anything about Yumizuka, but I'm pretty sure so far the viewers can tell, at least anybody who's watching this can tell, something tragic is probably going to happen to her. I walk along a different path, and then the one I usually take. Passing through unfamiliar streets, I slowly approach the Tono mansion. The surroundings are not completely unfamiliar. After all, I had lived here until I was 9 years old, 8 years ago. This is not the first time I've taken this path back to the mansion. My feelings are a little complex. The path home is nostalgic yet fresh. Up until just now, I had not looked forward to returning to the Tono household. Now, it doesn't seem so bad. The house I lived in until I was 9 years old. Right now, my sister Akiha is in that utterly un-Japanese Western-style mansion. Tono Makihisa, my old man who hated me, and the master of the Tono household, died a few days ago. My mother died from illness after Akiha was born, so the Tonos had dwindled down to me and my sister. Being the eldest son, you would think I would stand to become the Tono heir, but I had no such privilege. To become the Tono heir means being bound by a strict upbringing. I have lost count of the number of times my father scolded me over dislike of not being able to live freely. That was when I got involved with the accident, and my body became weakened. My father saw it as a good opportunity to get rid of me. His reasoning was something along the lines of, someone who could die at any moment can't become the heir, even if it is the eldest son. Sadly for my father, I betrayed his expectations by making a recovery, but my sister Akiha was already deemed to be the heir of the Tono household. And so I've heard that Akiha was already being raised harshly in order to become the proper daughter of the Tono household, received an even harsher upbringing since then. That was a long time ago. I played together with Akiha in the mansion back before the accident. After that, I never saw her again. The life in the mansion I abandoned 8 years ago. Those 8 years were long, and my memories of that time have largely faded. But in spite of that, there is one thing, even now, that continues to burn strongly within my heart, and that is... about my little sister Akiha, or about the cheerful girl. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys. I don't know who the cheerful girl is. I'm just going to say I don't know who the cheerful girl is for this Let's Play, at least. But if this were my first time choosing this, I would want to go with something that had already been established. And that had been how much regret Tono has been feeling about leaving or abandoning his sister Akiha, so I'm just going to go ahead and go with the first option because this girl hasn't even been established or anything, so it makes sense to go with option 1, so that's what I'm going to go with. Apparently, Akiha tried to visit me a few times when I was first entrusted to the Arimas. Unfortunately, we were never able to meet because I had to go to the hospital every day. We completely lost contact after Akiha went to a boarding school. Unlike Akiha, I'm isolated from the main family. That's why I can live freely like this. My high school is just an average high school and our chance of contact was pretty much 0. My old man died and I received word telling me to come back. To be blunt, I had no intention whatsoever of returning to the Tono house. But Akiha is at the house. When we were children, Akiha was an obedient child, always looking frightened as if she were constantly enduring something. She would always follow close behind, her footsteps pattering behind me. She was frail, and her long black hair and fancy Western clothes made her resemble a French doll. I'm worried about her living all alone in that big mansion with the old man gone. But more than anything, I feel guilty. After pushing all the Tono family responsibilities on her and selfishly living a free life by myself. Perhaps my acceptance to return to the mansion is like my apology to Akiha. The Tono mansion is unnecessarily big. Surrounded by iron railings, you could say the entire lot is abnormally expensive, and being so large that a whole elementary school could fit inside. The garden, surrounded by trees, is more like a forest. The mansion is at the heart of the forest, and there are a few other buildings separated from it. I didn't think anything of it when I was a child, but now that I've lived in an ordinary household for 8 years, the excessive size feels almost criminal. The gates aren't locked. I push them open and head towards the mansion doors. They tower oppressively, bearing down on any visitors. Beside the iron double doors is an unmatching doorbell. All right. Shaking off my nervousness, I press it. And so begins another part of our story, another integral part of Tsukihime. There isn't any affectionate ding-dong chime from the doorbell. The oppressive silence continues for a few seconds. Then, the sound of pattering footsteps behind the door indicates someone's presence. We have been waiting for you. The door opens with a creak. Inside lay the lobby I remembered, and a young girl in an apron. Thank goodness! You're so late I was beginning to worry that you had gotten lost. I was thinking about going to meet you if you hadn't arrived by sunset. The girl in the anachronistic apron smiles warmly. No, I'm so taken aback by her outdated mode of dress that I can't even form a proper sentence. Perhaps attributing my hesitance to distrust, the girl tilts her head a little. You're Shiki-sama, aren't you? Yeah, but you don't have to call me Sama. By the way, guys, Sama means someone deserving of respect, if there's anybody that don't know what some of these Japanese words mean. You are, right? Oh, please don't scare me like that. I was beginning to think I had made another mistake back there. The girl's mannerisms are like those of a mother scolding her child. But in spite of that, there's a smile on her face, and it doesn't break the warm feeling about her. She wears an apron over a kimono. She came out to greet guests and addresses someone with me like Sama. This must mean that she's... are you one of the maids here by any chance? The girl answers my question with nothing but a smile. Come, you must be tired. Please do come in. Akiha-sama is waiting for you in the sitting room. Kitchen, what the fuck? The girl quickly crosses the lobby and heads towards the sitting room. Turning back as if she just remembered something, she makes a bow, a full smile on her face. Welcome home, Shiki-sama. Her greeting is accompanied by her flower-like smile. I can't think of any reply, so I just follow her hesitatingly. Oh shit. Guided by the girl, I head to the sitting room. It's as if I'm seeing it for the first time. I don't know if I've forgotten about it in the last 8 years, or that they had it refurbished since then. Either way, it feels like someone else's house now, and it's unsettling. As I'm looking around the sitting room, the maid in the apron lowers her head in a quick bow. I brought Shiki-sama with me. Oh... Okay, guys, I know who this is beforehand. As I've said, I've played this game before. I'm just trying to think of what voice I should do for her, because she is a very sort of cold character. So, I'm trying to think of a proper one. Well done. No. Okay, wait. Well done. You may return to the kitchen, Kohaku. Thank you. It seems that the maid's name is Kohaku. Kohaku-san gives a small bow as if to say farewell and leaves the sitting room. This leaves me and 2 girls I don't recognize. It has been a long time, Nissan. Yeah, I think I'm just going to do a normal sort of high-pitched tone for her, even though I really want to do something outrageous or whatever, but I'll just leave it at that. Says the girl with the long black hair and sharp eyes. All my thought processes stop at once. My mind goes blank, and I can't think of any words of greeting. All I can do is nod with a, yeah. I don't think it can be helped. This Akiha, and the one that I had not seen in 8 years, is not the Akiha I remember. She's completely transformed into a proper young lady of a noble family. Nissan? The black-haired girl tilts her head slightly. Pathetically, all I can say are dumb-sounding things. My mind is turning in somersaults as I try to recognize the girl before me as Akiha, but it seems like Akiha already recognizes me as her brother. You do not look well. Would you like to rest before we talk? Akiha throws a sharp glance in my direction. Is it just my imagination that she looks like she's in a bad mood? No, I'm alright. I was just surprised at how much you've changed, Akiha. People do change over the course of 8 years, Nissan. We are at an age of change, or did you think we would remain the same as we were forever? What is this? I can feel the thorns in Akiha's words. No, you've definitely changed, Akiha. You've become more beautiful than before. That isn't flattery. It's how I really feel. And, indeed. But you, on the other hand, have not changed much at all. Akiha answers coldly, her eyes closed. Well, I came prepared for something like this. It is as I had thought. Seems Akiha does not think well of me. If you are feeling well, let us finish our conversation. You have yet to hear the details about why you were called back here, Nissan. I've heard nothing more than a sudden come back to the mansion, and I thought I might though I found the old man passed away on the papers. If the head of a major company dies, it definitely makes it on the financial papers. Word of Tono Makihisa's death reached his son, Tonoshiki, via the newspaper after the funeral. Even though his relatives hadn't told him, the disinherited son could pick up the news of his father's death merely by buying a 100 yen newspaper. It might be cynical of me to say so, but the world certainly has become a convenient place. I am sorry. It was my fault that you did not get the news about father. Akiha quietly lowers her head. It's alright. Either way, it's not like he would come back from the dead if I went. It's not something you should be worried about. I am sorry. It is somewhat comforting to hear you say that. Akiha's face is serious, but this is not a topic I care much about. A funeral is a ceremony for those who cannot let go of their feelings for the deceased to achieve such detachment. Every time I hear that statement, or I see it when I play this game, I'm trying to figure out what he means by that, but just the way it's worded, I guess. For someone like me, who has cut off such feelings a long time ago, there is no need. Calling you back here was my idea. It would be odd for the eldest son of the Tonos to be entrusted to the Arumas forever. Now that father has passed away, the only Tonos by blood are you and me, Nissan. I don't know what father was thinking when he entrusted you to the Arumas, but he's no longer with us, so there's no longer any need for you to live with them. That is why I had you come back here. That's all well and good, but I'm quite surprised you were able to get our relatives to agree to this. Wasn't it they who came up with the idea of living with me and the Arumas in the first place? That may be so, but I am the head of the Tono family. I declined every one of the proposals from our relatives. I would like you to continue living here, Nissan, but this is a place with rules. You will avoid living the overly casual lifestyle you've been leading up until now. Haha, I'm afraid that isn't going to happen, Akiha. There's no way I can go back to being some well-mannered gentleman now. Not that I want to. I will not ask more of you, but do try to. Or are you saying that you are unable to do what I already have? Akiha shoots me a cold look. It feels like she's hitting me with a grudge against me for leaving her here for the last 8 years. Alright, I get it. I'll try my best. Akiha just stares at me as if she doesn't quite believe me. You do not need to try, as long as you get the results. Her pose is dignified, her words merciless. Let's get back to the topic. Right now, you and I are the only ones living here. I do not care for having too many people around, so I cleared everyone out. Eh? Hold on a second, Akiha. You cleared everyone out? You wouldn't want to run into one of our relatives in the mansion, would you, Nissan? I have put off most of the servants, but there are enough for you and I, so there are no problems. Wait, no problems? You aren't going to get attacked at our family. You're going to get attacked at our family meeting if you do something like that. Oh, please be quiet. Rather than have the mansion overflowing with people, wouldn't you feel more relaxed with just the two of us here? Erg. Well, it's true that I would feel relaxed, but you have only just become the head of the family, Akiha. If you go around abusing your powers like some kind of dictator, our relatives aren't going to keep quiet. Even the old man didn't go against their opinions. Indeed. That's why Father entrusted you to the Arimas. I, on the other hand, have despised them ever since I was a child. I'm not going to put up with their whining any longer. Not going to put up with... Look, Akiha. Ah, enough. Just listen. You don't have to worry about me. Please, just worry about your own life from now on, Nissan. I can see it's going to be difficult for you in many ways. Akiha says sullenly, looking away a little. Now then, if there's anything you don't understand, ask her, Hisue. I might be butchering that name too, but yeah, if I am, please somebody tell me in the comments. I'm not exactly sure if that's the proper way it's pronounced, but I'm just going to pronounce it that way. She looks at the girl standing by her side. The girl called Hisue bows expressionlessly. This is Hisue. She will be your personal maid from now on. Is that acceptable with you? Eh? Hold on. Personal maid? You mean... In other words, she's your servant. Akiha declares as if it were obvious. I can't believe it. Fitting with the Western style of this house, the girl in the maid outfit stands there as if it's natural to do so. Hold on. I'm not a kid, you know. I don't need a servant. I can take care of myself. Would that include the cooking and the laundry? Ugh. Akiha is perfectly sharp at pointing these things out. At any rate, now that you've returned to this house, will you obey my directions? You will obey my directions. I don't know how you've lived at the Arimet house, but you're living at the Tono house now. Please accept everything given to you. Urgh. I can't say anything, and I drift my eyes towards Hisue. As expected, she simply looks back at me expressionlessly like a doll. Well then, Hisue, please show Nissan to his room. Yes, my lady. Hisue approaches me with a shadow-like lack of presence. I will guide you to your room, Shiki-sama. Hisue heads towards the lobby. Sighing. I head off towards the lobby as well. I'm just going to give Hisue a very monotone, sort of robotic voice because I feel like that fits her personality. And as you read along with me, you'll notice why I'm doing that. We enter the lobby. This mansion is split into east and west wings with a lobby in the middle. The lobby is like the body of a bird whose wings are the halls extending diagonally to the east and west. Each wing is about the size of a small hospital. I remember the house is constructed symmetrically, so both the east and west wings have the same floor plan. Your room is this way, Shiki-sama. Hisue climbs up a flight of stairs. It seems like my room is on the second floor. Come to think of it, the servants' room should be on the first floor of the west wing, so that's probably where Hisue and Kohaku-san's rooms are. Outside, the sun has already set. The girl in the maid uniform walks down the long, dimly lit hallway without a word. It kind of feels like a wonderland. Without thinking, I let my thoughts slip out. Did you say something, Shiki-sama? Hisue stops and looks back at me. No, I'm just thinking to myself. Don't worry about it. Ellipsis. After staring at me, Hisue bows and starts walking again. More goddamn ellipsis! I guess this is what they call being at a loss for words. The room Hisue led me to is not one made for a mere high school student to live in. Is this my room? Yes. If you are displeased with it, I can arrange a different one for you. No, there's no way I could be displeased with it. It's just a little... No, it's really too fancy for me. Shiki-sama? It's fine. I'll gladly use this room. Yes. This room has not been touched since 8 years ago, so I do not believe you will find anything unsatisfactory with it. What? There's something a little odd about the way Hisui said that. It's as if she was implying this was once my room. Hey, is this by any chance my old room? That is what I have been told. Am I mistaken? Hisui inclines her head to the side slightly. I feel relieved. It seems this girl can express emotion after all. Well, it might be now that you mention it. I do remember it faintly, so it must be so. I can't feel any sense of familiarity about this place at all, but I guess that's what it's like after you leave a place for 8 years. I can't get settled here, though. I was living in a 6.5 mat-sized room until this morning. It's like I'm staying in some high-class hotel. I understand how you feel, but please try to get used to it. From today onwards, you are the eldest son of the Tono house, Shiki-sama. You're right. I've got to do my best so I at least look like it on the outside. With a thump, I drop my bag on the table and stretch my back. I've been feeling a little stressed out with everything that's happened so far, but I guess I've got no choice but to adjust from today onwards. Shiki-sama, after all of your luggage has been brought here, is there anything more you require? No, not really. Why do you ask? There was very little delivered. Is there anything you need? I can have it prepared, so please do not hesitate to ask. I see. No, I do not need anything more for now. I don't have much luggage to begin with. My luggage is just this bag, these glasses, and the textbooks in my bag, and that white ribbon with an unidentified owner. That's all. Anyways, you do not have to worry about the luggage. This fancy room is more than enough for me. I understand. Well then, I shall call you in an hour's time. An hour? For dinner, you mean? Yes. Please relax until then. As expected, Hisui says everything with an expressionless face. But even as she tells me to relax, just how am I supposed to do this here? Just how am I supposed to do that here? The clock says it's 6 o'clock, but usually I'd be watching TV in the sitting room around this time, but I'm having serious doubts as to whether there's any such thing in this mansion. Hisui, I know it's kind of a trivial thing to ask about, but is there a television in this manor? A television? Hisui's eyes narrow slightly. I know I'm the one who asked, but it is really a stupid question. I feel there's something wrong with asking about the presence of a TV in a luxurious mansion like this. Hisui makes a rare, troubled face and stares off into space. There is no television in the sitting room. Some of the visitors did make use of one, but when they departed, they packed it up with their luggage and took it back with them, so I do not believe there are any remaining. Hold on. Visitors? Like who? For how long? Relatives. The eldest son of Kugamine-sama from a branch of the family, Tozaki-sama's third daughter and her fiancé, and Kishimi-sama's eldest son came to stay here for close to 3 years. 3 years, huh? Hisui, that's what you call freeloaders, not visitors. Hisui does not reply. No matter what kind of people these freeloaders were, it seems that the servants can't say anything bad about them. Well, at any rate, it seems like those relatives had brought, and taken back, their own luggage with them. My old man hated the products of modern culture, thinking them all vulgar. There was no way he would ever watch a TV. Akiha, who'd been educated by him for the last 8 years, would probably be the same. Well, it's not like I'll die without one. Hisui is silent. Like a perfect example for servants, Hisui says nothing unless she's being asked a direct question. This is, of course, kind of depressing for me. I want to make that expressionless face break into a smile somehow, but that seems impossible for just any old half-hearted effort. Oh, there was a library on the first floor of the West Wing, wasn't... Oh, wait. Oh, there was a library on the first floor of the West Wing, wasn't there? Maybe I'll go find something to read when I have some free time. Hisui does not reply. She just stands there in the doorway. I can't even tell where she's looking. Hisui? Hisui doesn't say a word. Suddenly, she looks straight at me. I believe there is one in Nei-san's room. Huh? I have no idea what she's talking about. There's one of what? A television. I remember seeing one in Nei-san's room, Hisui says, as if remembering something from many years ago. Hold on. Nei-san? Don't tell me you're talking about Kohaku-san. By the way, guys, I haven't mentioned this either yet, but Ni-san means brother when Akiha is referring to Tono, and Nei-san means sister whenever Hisui is talking about Kohaku. That means that Kohaku and Hisui are sisters, if you haven't picked up on that. Yes. Right now, the only people working at this mansion are Nei-san and I. Now that she mentions it, they do look alike. I just couldn't connect them as sisters because Kohaku-san is always smiling so warmly, and Hisui is always expressionless. I see. Kohaku-san does look like the type of person who'd watch those variety shows. But I balk at going into Kohaku-san's room to tell her, "Let me watch your TV." Sorry. Just forget I ever asked. After all, I'll be living here from now on, so I've got to follow the rules of the mansion. God knows what sort of cynical comment I'd be in for from Akiha if I started watching television. It seems I'll be leading a scholarly student life fit for a member of the Tono family from now on. Alright, I'll be in my room until dinner, so come and call me when it's time. You've got other things to do, don't you, Hisui? Hisui nods in assent and turns around. Silently opening the door, she leaves the room. Dinner takes place with Akiha and I being face to face. I guess it's natural here, as Hisui and Kohaku-san don't eat with us, standing behind us to tend to our needs. I thought it would be natural if all four of us ate together, so you could say I'm caught off guard by this inexplicably tense dinner. I should mention at this point that I've totally forgotten anything related to table manners by now. Well, I do remember little pieces, so it's not like I'm a complete amateur, but humans tend to pack away unused memories into the corners of their mind. The tension was actually quite thrilling, with every one of my movements causing Akiha to raise an eyebrow. When I think about how I have to go through this every day, though, it's really depressing. Finishing dinner, I return to my room. It's still only just past 8 at night. It's too early to sleep, so what should I do? Uh-oh, decision time. Stay in my own room, go watch TV in Kohaku-san's room. Well, staying in my own room would be pretty boring, and going to watch TV, I don't think that'd be a good idea. So let's go talk to Akiha. When I get to the sitting room, Akiha is relaxing there alone. There's no sign of Kohaku-san or Hisui. There are 2 teacups on the table, and Akiha is using one of them. Oh. Do you drink tea after meals, Ni-san? No, nothing like that. I just thought I'd come and talk to you. My expression tells her, I'll go away if I'm bothering you. Then please, sit down. Is tea alright for you? Sure. I'll have anything that's nice. I actually prefer Japanese tea, but I'll keep that bit of selfishness to myself. Akiha takes the teapot and pours transparent red tea into another cup. Thank you. I sit on the sofa and raise the teacup to my mouth. Before my eyes is the cool and collected Akiha, and it makes me a bit uneasy. I came to talk to her, but to be honest, I really don't know what to say now that she's in front of me. Ni-san? You're very quiet. Didn't you come to talk to me? Akiha stares. The atmosphere is so much that a young... the atmosphere is not so much that of a younger sister, but more like that of an unfamiliar young lady. It's not one which I can speak freely. It's not one in which I can speak freely, excuse me. Well, I was just wondering, what have you been doing for these past 8 years?
It goes without saying. With Nissan not around, Father's attention turns solely to me.
Akiha glares in complaint. It seems that the last 8 years are a taboo subject.
And what about you? What have you been doing for the 8 years? I sent many letters, but I didn't receive a single reply.
Ach! I choke involuntarily. Certainly, Akiha sent many letters, but I never replied. I was a poor correspondent, but at the bottom of my heart, I wanted to sever all links with the Tono Mansion, and that made me reluctant to write to Akiha.
Well, don't worry about the letters. Even if you had answered, I'm sure Father would never have allowed the replies into the house. More importantly, how do you feel returning to the mansion for the first time in 8 years? It has changed very little, though there was some restoration work done.
In spite of Akiha's words, the mansion still feels completely unknown to me. 8 years ago, I was just a child. Even if I remember the mansion a little, I feel like I'm in someone else's house, and it's very unsettling.
Nissan?
No, I was just lost in thought for a moment. You say this mansion's changed very little, but it's pretty unsettling for me. Though this sitting room and the lobby are kind of familiar, I can't really remember the corridor, nor my room.
Really? I guess 8 years is a long time.
I guess that's it. It's like half of my life so far. I can't really expect to have clear memories. Well, it's been 8 years, so it doesn't really feel right, but I think I'll get used to it. I'll be thankful if you overlook my poor manners for a while.
Please do not be ridiculous. I can hardly look any more leniently upon Nissan's manners than I do already.
Blah! Ugh, that was close. I almost sprayed the tea while I was drinking. At supper, Akiha's look sent me into a cold sweat after all I did was use the wrong knife. I see. You were being lenient back then.
Yes. I'm making concessions appropriate to your abilities. Nissan has been brought up by the Arimas after all. As Aunt Keiko comes from a branch family, a certain amount of laissez-faire was permitted, and you were spoiled, Nissan. The result is the supper we had a while ago.
Well, it can't be helped, can it? We never really thought I'd be returning here.
Is that so? You sound like you didn't want to return, Nissan.
Don't be stupid, it's not like that. I may have had my doubts, but I couldn't just leave you here alone, could I? What kind of brother would I be then? Yes, that's the reason I returned. If it weren't for Akiha, I would never have returned. Since I heard nothing for almost 8 years, I always wondered whether you are alright on your own. I came back to the mansion because I was worried about you. Looking a little off to the side, I put my honest feelings into words.
Well, then,
But I guess I was just worrying over nothing. In the past 8 years, you seem to have grown strong. I'm relieved, but a little disappointed. No, a bit is saying too little. Since I only had the images of the calm Akiha back when she was small, the sharp Akiha right now seems like a different person.
Really? I'm sorry I didn't meet Nissan's expectations.
Akiha's eyes are scary. Crap, I think I may have said it's too much again.
Well then, Nissan, how was life at the Arima residence?
Akiha asked, still with the frightening expression. I feel like I'm under terrible pressure, even though I'm only talking to my younger sister.
Nissan, did you hear what I said?
I heard. Life at the Arm is right. It was normal. There was no real problems. It seems like it was more suited for me living there, too.
That's not what I meant. How was your health? I have heard you collapsed a lot from your chronic anemia.
Yeah, I did for about a year after I left the hospital, but I'm okay now. I only have problems occasionally about once a month. I'm certainly not frail enough to be worried about. Bluffing, I strike my chest with its scar. Akiha nods in serious assent.
But Nissan, you've also started wearing glasses. After going to the hospital, you did your eyesight fail also?
I see. Akiha doesn't know I wear glasses or why I wear them. I can't just explain the lines along with which things break, or they don't appear when I wear that they don't appear when I wear the glasses. Well, it's nothing. My eyes became a little strange after the accident, but it's not like my eyesight has gone bad, so it's really not a serious problem.
Really? I was surprised when I saw you a while ago. I didn't know you had started wearing glasses, Nissan.
Really? You seemed pretty calm back then.
Of course! I was meeting you for the first time in 8 years. I couldn't let you see me acting strange.
Akiha's brow creases sullenly.
Akiha-sama, the bath is ready. What should I do? Really? Thank you, Kohaku. I'll go soon, so go ahead. Ah, is that alright? After all, you're relaxing with Shiki-sama. Shiki-sama might run away, but the bath won't. Please relax a little longer. It's fine. We weren't talking about anything important anyways.
Akiha stands and walks past Kohaku-san into the lobby. Kohaku-san follows Akiha. Left alone in the sitting room, I finish the tea. Akiha and Kohaku-san seem to be heading to the bath, so I guess I'll go back to my room. Hang on. Akiha and Kohaku-san aren't going to take a bath together, are they? No, I bet they are. Then maybe Kohaku-san would be washing her back? Of course, with another girl, that's no problem, but...
Well, you are free to imagine whatever you wish, Nissan, but...
Oh god! Akiha returns with amazing timing.
Don't force Hisui to do stupid things. Unlike Kohaku, she doesn't really get jokes.
Akiha's looks accusingly as if she sees my thoughts. I'm surprised. Maybe this mansion has some listening devices. Wait, what are you doing back here? Weren't you taking a bath with Kohaku-san?
I forgot to tell you something about the bath. Nissan, the large bathroom we used a long time ago isn't used anymore. It would be too much for Hisui and Kohaku to take care of, so it has been closed up.
Large bathroom? Was there such a place? I splutter a bit. Unable to remember, I make a doubtful face. Akiha's brows knit terribly.
The bath in the courtyard. You don't even remember that?
Well, now that she mentions it, I guess there was such a thing. But this is a European-style mansion. Isn't such a thing a little out of place?
Father half liked the Japanese style of architecture. That is why the detached building is Japanese style as well. Anyway, if you want to have a bath, please use your own. The second bathroom behind the lobby is yours, Nissan.
With that, Akiha leaves. Alright. Well, with Akiha gone, there's no point in staying in the sitting room. I'll have a bath too, and return to my room. When I return to my room, the bed has been made. I guess Hisui did it when I was gone. I'm glad she did, but it's really more than I deserve. I scratch my cheek. Then...
Are you there, Shiki-sama?
I can hear Hisui's voice along with the knock at the door. Yeah, I'm here. Come in.
Excuse me.
Good evening. Good evening. Thanks for making my bed, Hisui. Hisui quietly nods in acceptance. Erg. Just as I thought. I'm not used to this. Is there anything else you want to tell me?
No, nothing from me, but Akiha-sama has instructed me to answer any questions you may have.
I see. There are many things I want to ask, but I'll probably get to know them as I continue to live here. Yeah, what I want to know right now before I sleep is it true that the curfew here is 7?
Yes.
The main gate is locked at 7, and all the entrances to the mansion are to be locked at 8. It is also a rule that no one must try to go out walking around in the mansion after 10. Not even walking around in the mansion? Well, I've got no complaint with that, but isn't that kind of harsh? Akia and I aren't children, so I don't think you have to go that far. Indeed. It is a rule, however, so please abide by it. You are aware of the recent disturbances tonight, are you not, Chiki-sama? Yeah, the vampire thing Arihiko was talking about. Well, as long as something like that is happening, I guess it's better to stay safe than sorry.